Hey, everybody. Welcome to the second in our series of Business Builder webinars. My name is Ash Silva, and it gives me great pleasure to now bring you the second part of what we're going to be discussing. The first one was all about the why, your why statement, and what's important to you and your business and your life and your career. What more important thing to start your business foundation as the second set than your website? Not just the design, the call to action. The tipping point has happened. This is the new age of the internet. There is no longer the story of the emperor not having any clothes on, and you think, well, you know, my site is half decent, or it doesn't exist, or it's a little confusing, but it doesn't matter. People don't care. Well, people do care, and they've already decided that they're not going to call you based on what they did when they saw your site, or what they noticed, or how they felt. They've already researched you before they've decided to do or not to do business with your company. So having said that, I have seeked out the best of the best. Randy Chin of FoglightSearch in the next hour will share with you everything you need to know to develop at least the basics of having a web strategy that is magnetic and that brings people to a call to action, at least to follow up with you, leave their name, email, whatever it is. So grab your pens, your pads, shut everything off, and listen to what Randy's got to say and teach you today. Take it away, Randy.
Okay, Ash, so I wanted to, before we jumped into the actual webinar, just to talk a little bit about last week's webinar on finding your why and your I am. I did have a number of people come and talk to me either over the phone or they sent me emails and so forth, and I just wanted to thank everybody in terms of the response that we've gotten back, and just to show that it did make an impact, even though we had some technical glitches and not everything ran as smooth as we would like. That's always the issues with live webinars, but that's okay. Still, it made a difference in a few people's lives and so forth. So that was really what the purpose was of that webinar. If you haven't seen it, then we will be sure to get you a replay link as well, so you can listen to that as well. Just contact us and let us know, and we'll be able to make sure that you get that information as well. All right, so let's jump into the webinar now. So let me talk a little bit about what we'll be covering today. So first off, we're going to talk a little bit about understanding the internet in terms of where is it going in 2011 and beyond. Basically, why do you need to be there, and what are the impacts for your business? So we'll be covering part of that as well. And the main part we'll be covering as well is building your website. So how do you make your website into a customer magnet website? So, how are you going to brand yourself and your products, and how you're going to convert traffic to sales and build a relationship with your target market. We're going to cover all those different components today in this webinar. Alright, so let's talk about what you don't know and why it's actually costing you in terms of being on the internet. So what you don't know with the internet is actually costing you money, market share, and leverage against your competition. In terms of money, because you may not know how to actually build a client magnet website, you're actually losing money from your website. People may be coming, check you out, and then decide, you know what, I don't think this person's going to be able to help me, even though you may have had that service or you might be able to help them, but just that your website wasn't giving them the information that they were looking for. In the same way, market share and your competition are probably growing, or they could be growing even more if you were to know these different pieces of information we're just about to share with you right here. Alright, so let's talk about how you're currently marketing your company. So maybe you can help me now as part of this webinar. Type into the chat box, what traditional marketing methods are you using currently, and tell me about how effective they've been last year and in the last quarter. So put some stuff in there. Tell me about what sort of traditional marketing you're using right now, and let's go through some of them.
Okay, so I do see things like Yellow Pages is being used. I do see things like being able to use business cards. A lot of people hand out business cards. That's one way you do it as well. In terms of the effectiveness of that, how effective have those different methods been for you? Okay, so I see most people are saying that the yellow pages haven't been as effective as they had hoped. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, most people are talking about getting business through referrals and so forth, maybe through other clients and whatnot. Okay, so there are a few different things that people are talking about in terms of how they are getting new business right now using traditional marketing methods, but there are some concerns about how effective those have been. So okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk a bit more about the different methods and other ways that you could use the internet to be able to actually get you more business. Let me just move this out of the way, and here we go. All right, so let's talk about people right now in terms of being on the internet and so forth. As of, this is a little bit old, it was about a year ago, there are a lot of people using the internet for many different things. A lot of them use it for social networking, even just playing games. A lot of them use for, well, I guess 8% used for email. So regardless, there are a lot of people that are currently out there using the internet, and they're already, as part of your audience, are probably people that you want to connect with, and they're probably checking you out as well. Let's move on. So this next chart here, as it comes up, okay, the next chart here, it basically shows a comparison between traditional media and how people are spending for digital or online advertising and so forth. So it basically shows that there's been a growth, and your competitors are probably using the internet one way or another to try to build up the amount of referrals and amount of customers they're getting. So that's basically what this slide shows. Let's move on. So then this now, 3 years from now, what percentage of customers in your industry do you expect to be using digital tools and techniques for each of the following activities? So if you look at, there's a variety of different ways people are using the internet, and the amount and the percentages are going up for each one of them. You can see becoming aware of new products and so forth using high tech is actually going up, or within the high tech field is going up. Searching for information, comparing prices, buying products and using services after sales. All of these different things point basically to the fact that more and more businesses are now using the internet for a number of different ways of finding other services and so forth as well from the internet, and that's probably where your customers are. All right, so let's get into some of the meat and potatoes here about your website in particular. So the title that I named this particular webinar is around how you can build a client magnet website. And that's basically what you want. You want customers to be coming to you, to be magnetic in terms of coming to your website, and from your website to be actually engaging with you, and then actually wanting your services, of course. So that's basically what we're going to talk about within the next few slides. So what is the primary responsibility for your website? So there's a few things I have listed here, and again, in your chat box, as I go through them, tell me which one you think is the most important to your business. So the first one, of course, is educating your audience. So definitely wanting to know more about what you do and how you do it. So that's one thing for your website. Number two, branding your company and your image. So definitely people want to know what kind of company I'm dealing with, and that's another responsibility for your website. Establishing you as your company and its executive team as the thought leaders and authorities in your industry. So being the leading edge of your particular industry, whatever it might be, to be able to establish your company. That's one of the primary responsibilities for your website. Generating sales and leads, that's another responsibility for your website. Building lasting relationships with your customer. So do you have that ongoing relationship being built through your website as well? And finally, of course, empowering your audience to buy more frequently, consistently, and higher average dollar amounts. So out of those ones, tell me, which ones do you guys feel is the most important for your website? Okay, so I see some people are saying education, some people are saying getting leads and so forth, sales and leads. Other people are saying in terms of building a lasting relationship. Good. So there are quite a few things here that are being listed, and naturally it's hard to would it be possible for your website to be able to do all those components for you at one time? Maybe that's a little bit much to be thinking that, wow, can we really cover all those different components? So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's keep going. Close the chat window and move on to the next slide. Okay, so the one thing though that your website will not do, it will not miraculously allow you to receive a whole bunch of traffic. It's not the build it and they will come. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work like that. It sometimes takes more work to be able to get the people to your website. Naturally, in terms of replacing the personal interaction or the personal attention and connection you have with people, a website's not going to be able to do all of that just by itself. I mean, it's just one of the components to be able to make that happen. But really, when you start talking about building that relationship with people, that's going to definitely take a lot more work that doesn't happen strictly from the website. And definitely taking the place of effective marketing and messaging, it doesn't take the replacement of that. Just having a website, but then if you don't have a website with good marketing and your messaging on there, naturally that's not going to miraculously be able to cover all of those different things. So let's talk a bit about what we're going to cover in terms of your website. All right. Okay, here we go. So there's 6 elements of your website that I want to touch on, and all of them need to work in combination to be able to get you those primary objectives that we talked about. So we're going to go through each one in step, but let me just quickly run through what the different ones are. The first one is the homepage layout. We're going to talk about how to actually set up your homepage so it becomes easy for your clients to be able to find out about you and to be able to learn more about you, and as well to get you to the call to action, which we'll talk about in a second. We'll talk about navigation of the actual website, how to set it up. We'll talk about design overall of your website, as well, of course, calls to action. We're going to talk about that, having that on every page and what that means. As well, we'll talk about landing pages and, of course, tracking, which is the ultimate piece once you've got all those different components set up. All right, so let's talk about your homepage. Your homepage only serves one purpose, and that one purpose is to get your visitors to click into your site within the first 5 seconds. So naturally, somebody coming to your site, most people, if they come to a site and it's just not what they're expecting, or it's just very difficult to navigate, a lot of people can basically click off your site very, very quickly. So what are you presenting as the image that comes when a person sees your site for the first time? And you want to make sure that that piece is very clear. So we're going to talk a bit about calls to action. So really, your website, especially your homepage, can really only have one central call to action. If you try to put many different calls to action on the homepage as being the one central call to action, it gets very confusing for the people who come to your website, and then you might actually lose them. Now, it is possible to have other secondary calls to action, which we'll talk about as well, but we want to have that one primary call to action. So think about that until we get there. What is the primary call to action you want for your website? All right. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about site navigation. So the real thing about site navigation is you want to make it as intuitive and natural for the person. So you want to make it kind of a progression that you would normally have. Having a bunch of different topics kind of slapped together that people are kind of jumping around and not really understanding what it is you're trying to lay out for them can be very confusing. So naturally, I mean, a lot of people, the standard kind of a setup is to have like your services first. Great. You talk about your services and so forth. You may then go to client testimonials. Maybe you have another section that talks about testimonials, how you've helped clients to be able to actually make those services happen. And then finally, you may have an about page where people can contact you and ask for more information, that kind of thing. And then maybe you even have a special offers kind of a page. So that's kind of a nice, natural, simple, a very simple kind of a logical progression. Now, what you want to do, what would be difficult would be if you had people kind of jumping around and they don't quite know what you're trying to lay out, and maybe you have, instead of putting all your services nicely together under one sort of a tab, they're kind of interspersed, and it's very difficult for people to understand and get a full picture of what it is that you provide and how you might be able to help them. So naturally, you want to make the progression navigation-wise as simple and intuitive as possible. You want to cover all of their objectives and objections and fears and questions. I mean, definitely you want to look at it from the point of view from the customer who comes to your site. If you think about it, when you go to a person's site, are you there to just try to find out everything there is to know about that business and try to understand their owners and where they came from and stuff like that? The answer most likely is no. You're not there because you wanted to find out everything there is to know about the individual. You went there because there was a specific need in your life. You needed to find or buy or want a particular service and so forth. You're there to try to find out, can these people be able to meet the need that I have? So they're always looking at it from the point of view of what's in it for me. So when you set up your site, when you set everything up within your site, you need to kind of always have that mindset in place that what's in it for me is really what people are looking for. So they're trying to understand when they come to the site, does this service, does this person, does this product meet the needs that I have? So by having a clear navigation, that will help you to be able to easily allow people to understand and kind of progress through the natural course of what they're trying to learn about. So let's talk a little bit about the site design itself. In terms of the menu and the navigation, we kind of talked a little bit about that, but basically it should link to the core categories, be it services or products and so forth that you have, that you're providing and so forth within your business. But it should also link to your primary action. What is the main call to action that you want somebody to take? We're going to go into that a little bit more in detail in a moment, but basically keep that in mind. Your website should really be focused around what is the primary action you're hoping that somebody would take by coming to your website. Each page, of course, should have sort of the next step in mind. When they go to one page and they read and they go through that page, you want it to kind of link to the next page that you're expecting them to go to. It should always be a link at the bottom of each one of the pages in terms of what is the next step logically that you would expect somebody to do. If they've read one of your articles about your particular core competency and so forth, then what is the next step you would expect? Would it be right away to, go to the contact page and contact me and set up an appointment? Is that the next step? Or is it to push them to another article where they have more information? Maybe it's a video they need to go to find out more about what you do and your services. So you got to kind of keep that in mind, kind of like have a little map that basically shows how you expect people to basically flow through your particular website. Look and feel, I mean, that's the designer side of me coming out as well. I mean, basically you want to make it in such a way that it's as professional as possible. I've seen many different sites, and I'm sure you have as well if you've been on the internet, and some of them have, itty-bitty little fonts, very hard to read, or, the color combinations are just, very difficult for you to know what it is that they're trying to sell, or it may just give you the feel that, this is not really a professional kind of a company, it's sort of a, a home-based company or something like that. So you got to kind of have that look and feel established, and that design should basically, be pervasive throughout the whole website. Definitely all the content and graphics, I kind of mentioned that as well. It's not really about your company. It's always with that whole idea of what's in it for me. So looking at it from the customer's point of view, they come into your website, what's in it for me? That's always the question they're asking when they're reading each one of your pages or looking at any site on your website. So are you answering that question? Are you showing them what's in it for me? Covering the objections, any other problems that they may think, fears and doubts and so forth, are all those things being covered and being able to answer that in terms of what's in it for me. Go to the next slide. Yay, next slide. Okay, so the other thing to consider nowadays with site design is as well looking at mobile site design as well. So if you look at the graphic on the left-hand side, it happens to be a City of Boston site. As you can see, this would be kind of like how it would look on an iPhone or any sort of an Android or something like that. Anything with a browser, a BlackBerry, you'll see that it basically is like your normal site that you would have on your PC, but it's kind of crammed onto the screen and definitely makes it very difficult to be able to navigate. It has a few graphics on it. Again, the more graphics you have, if you think about it, you're out and about trying to look at a site. The more graphics you put on it, the harder it is to be able to actually load the site, and the slower it is and so forth. Whereas on the right-hand side, it looks like a very simple kind of a site with mostly just text. There's like one graphic on the top left there. But basically, that sort of a site would be very easy to be able to use on a mobile device. As you can see, the links would be a lot easier to click on. The one on the left, you kind of have to zoom in to be able to click on one of those links because they're just so itty-bitty and small, whereas the one on the right is definitely a lot easier to be able to click on any one of them. The phone number there is actually a hot link as well, which means that you can actually click on the phone number and be able to dial that particular number right off of that web page, which is always convenient. If you think about like a restaurant, you're trying to make a reservation or something like that, to be able to click on the phone number, boom, you could actually make your reservation very easily. So that's something else to consider for mobile design as well. And definitely your website can be able to take care of both things in terms of being able to have a PC or a computer version of your website that you would normally use on a computer, whereas you would have a separate one set up for your mobile design, which would be a separate site, but would be a link through the exact same URL that they go to. In this case, it was cityofboston.gov. So that's something else to consider as well. And again, they even put the most requested pages, which is probably a good idea. Somebody in a mobile is probably the ones looking for these particular type of information. So that's why they put it into the into that order right on the home page for you. All right, so I've talked a little bit about call to action in a few different areas of the webinar so far, but let me elaborate a little bit upon that in terms of what am I talking about here. Well, the call to action can be a few different things. I mean, it could be, for example, maybe you want them to purchase something right off of your website. For those who have products and so forth that you sell online, then naturally to be able to purchase that may be your primary call to action. For other ones, it might be to sign up for something. Maybe you want them to subscribe to your newsletter. Maybe you have a free report. Maybe you have some sort of a coupon offer or something like that. That may be your primary call to action. And the reason being is, of course, you want to capture their email address so that you can then follow up with them. Maybe the call to action is actually you want them to read more information to help them in the buying process. You want to do something that would actually force them along in terms of the buying process, and that is the primary call to action for your site. So these are the different call to actions that you could potentially have within your website. Now go to your chat window again. Tell me, what do you think would be the call to action that you would want within your business? There's many different ones there. So share with us in terms of what do you think? Which one of those different call to actions would you think would be the one that you would want to have on your website? Sign up for a free ebook. That's a great one. Absolutely. Definitely. If you actually had an ebook to sign up for, that would be fantastic, especially something that you've put together. The other good idea, of course, is maybe you want to sign up for a free video series of some sort as well that you've put together. Other people have said in terms of subscribing to your email list, definitely. I mean, one of the primary things that people use a website for is to start building up a list. Other people have said to be able to purchase something. Fantastic, yes. Read more information, help them in the buying. Oh, wow, fantastic. So you can see that there's a number of different areas that you can be looking to push people towards in terms of that call to action. What is it that you want them to do when they come to your website? With that sort of a mindset in terms of setting up your website, you will be able to make sure that that is the primary thing that people will be able to do when they come to us, and that's the primary action that they'll take, and they'll not get confused as to what it is that you want them to do. So let me go close the chat window again, and let me go to All right, shameless plug here, so please bear with me as I shamelessly plug our website. So this is my website, FoglightSearch.com, and as you can see, on the top right there, I've kind of circled it in red, you can see that there is a sign up on the front page, and that actually is consistent on all of our pages, where you can actually click to get a free marketing video series. There's a series of videos that you can click on and you sign up and you'll be able to get those. So that is the primary objective on our website. We want people to sign up for that marketing video series, and then from that, of course, now we can follow up them with email and so forth, tell them about all the other things that we do and whatnot and how we can help their business, help them to get onto this webinar and future webinars that we have. So that is the primary action, and it's prominently displayed on every single one of our pages. The other thing you'll notice is sort of in the middle of the page, I have it circled again, it's the same thing, free marketing video series, and it's kind of in the middle of the page this time underneath the images. You can't see it in this particular one because this image I snapped of it only shows one, but that portion that says creativity on the top, it actually rotates between a few different images, and it shows a number of different values that we hold in terms of how we want to help companies and to be able to grow and whatnot. So that portion, the images actually flip and change and so forth. But the top, in terms of where the sign up button is, doesn't. That's always on every single one of our pages. And the bottom there, we have one more on the middle there, which is the free marketing video series again. So it basically kind of two punch almost right off the home page to try to get people to join in terms of the sign up for our video series, and thus from that being able to follow up with them in the future as well. I'm going to show you one other example, and when you guys take a look at this one, tell me, when you look at this particular site, what do you think is the primary action that they want you to take when you come to this site? It is a great model as well, and it's one of my sites that I talk to a lot of people about as well, workingmomsonly.com. But when you look at this particular page that I'm showing you here, what do you think is the primary action that, the call to action that we want, or they want people to take? Very good. So I've had many different answers. Yes, add them to your list, put your name in for the ebook. Absolutely. So definitely on the right hand side there, let me flip now back to the next slide. Definitely, it is definitely building a list, and the primary call to action definitely is to sign up for their list. The thing that they do, which is a little interesting, is that sign up form is actually on every single one of their pages as well. So they're very consistent that this sign-up form to get this ebook, the decision tree, is prominently displayed on every single one of their pages. The other thing to note as well is that you know, on some screens, if you're looking at a website and it's much bigger, there's something called above the fold and below the fold. What that's referring to, above the fold, is basically when you first come to the website, what portion of the website do you see, and what portion do you have to scroll down to be able to see the bottom of. So if you can, when you first come to the website, see the portion of the website, that's called above the fold. Whatever you can see when you first come to the website is called above the fold, whereas anything you have to scroll down is called below the fold. So as you can see, this decision tree sign-up box is right above the fold. I mean, right away when you come to the website, it may cut off at somewhere around welcome, or it might even cut off towards the bottom of the sign-up box, but there's no doubt that that sign-up box is on the top of every single one of the top of the page when you come to this particular site. So in the same way, when you look at your website, you need to make sure that you have these different pieces as well. So now that you kind of know what to look for in terms of the call to action for every website, go back and take a look at your website if you have one, and see, do you have your call to action prominently displayed, especially is it above the fold in terms of what you're expecting people to do right when they come to your website. Even when you're evaluating or looking at other people's website now, you should continue to keep this in mind. What is the call to action they're trying to get me to do, and is it above the fold or not as well? So now you kind of know what we look for when we go look at websites, and do they have these call to action components or not. Next, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people don't spend a lot of time working on. A lot of time people do spend some time creating home pages and making sure that the page looks good and all that, and that is always an important portion of it. But there is a high probability sometimes that people come to one of your landing pages. So what is a landing page? A landing page is normally a sub-page within your website that they go to directly. So for example, if you were doing any sort of online advertising or anything like that, maybe you do pay-per-click, or you're doing some sort of a joint venture with another another person in the same field, and they're referring people over to your website for some sort of a special offer, you need to have basically a landing page for those to come to. Let's go back to the pay-per-click discussion just for a second. I'm not going to go into a long discussion of pay-per-click, but for pay-per-click, if you are, for example, in a particular niche, let's say you're in the health niche, for this particular one. And your pay-per-click ad was something about back pain. You know, if you have back pains and so forth, you need to get this. You know, you need to get more information about how to relieve your back pain. Well, coming to your general health site where you cover everything from back pain through to foot issues and your eyes and skin and so forth might be very confusing if they've seen a specific ad about back pain. Rather, you should be sending them to a specific page on your website dealing with back pain. So that would be your landing page. So people who come to your landing page would basically be expecting when they come to see something about back pains and how to relieve back pains, or maybe a free report about back pains, things like that. So those are considered your landing pages. So the question you need to have in your mind is that what kind of visitors will be coming from whatever different sources and whatnot, and do you have a landing page that basically addresses exactly what it is that they're looking for? All right, so I've covered now landing pages as well as the home page. Let's see. Okay, so this one's pretty important. Just let me get a drink of water here. I'll be right back. Hold on a second. All right, so now that we've talked a bit about how to set up your website, what to look for in terms of site design, how to make sure you have your call to action prominently displayed, what to put onto your home page, and even how to have landing pages, and a little bit about how to kind of set them up and make them specific to a particular audience that's coming. The final stage, of course, is the tracking statistics. Nobody really likes tracking. They think it's kind of a pain to set up and whatnot, especially if you want to be a little bit more fancy and track, you know, different types of offers and which ones were more that converted better and so forth. I mean, all those different things are important, but the basics is really that you need to have tracking statistics set up for your whole website. And what that means is that no matter which page anybody goes to, you want to know how many people have come to a particular page. You want to know a little bit about, in terms of when they were searching in Google, maybe they came to your website, well, what words did they use to find your website? Those kind of things. And the cool thing is to be able to track all of these things, and even over time to be able to know how many people came last month versus this month versus a year ago. All of those things can be easily accommodated for through Google Analytics. Maybe you've heard of that before or not, but Google Analytics is actually a piece of code that you can add to your website, and then Google will actually track for you when people come to your website, what terms they searched in Google to come to your website. They'll track all of those different things and give you nice reports that you can look at over any sort of a period as well, be it a year, how far back in terms of just when you install the Google Analytics onto your website, so you can actually see all this tracking. Now, you can get a bit more fancy in terms of if you actually wanted to be able to track which offer was converting better, which page you get more hits on, and things like that. But all that is stored within Google Analytics, but you actually have to do a little bit of work sometimes to be able to set it up so that you can actually tell which offer is converting better and versus another one. So there is a little bit more to look for in that. I'm not going to go into a large detail about what Google Analytics covers and so forth, but if you were to do a search on it, you would find Google Analytics, and you'll find that there are a lot of information about how to set it up and what you can use it for, and taking a look at all the reports that it does as well. All I can say is that you just need to make sure that that component is there to do your tracking. If you're using Google Analytics or not, doesn't matter. There's many other services that do it too, but regardless, you just need to make sure that you're tracking your statistics so that you do know whatever you're doing to be able to get more people to come to your website is actually improving it or not. All right. Whew. Okay. That was a lot of different components we talked about very, very quickly. But we talked about homepage layout. Definitely we talked about that. We talked about your navigation in terms of how to set it up. We also talked about design in terms of being on the computer versus being mobile. We talked about calls to action, making sure that they're on every page. We talked about landing pages and a bit about what to put on them. And we also talked about tracking statistics. So I've covered a lot of different topics, and very, very quickly, I think. So if you have questions now, maybe we'll take a few questions. Please just type them into the chat box, whatever questions you might have, and we'll try to see if I can't address some of the different questions you have in terms of setting all these different components up. All right, so there's a question about calls to action. Okay, so The question really is around, how do you create a call to action, and what sort of call to actions have worked well in the past? Well, I mean, the typical one that a lot of people use, and that has always been sort of the tried and true method for calls to action, is really around having some sort of a report or something that applies specifically to that particular customer that's coming to your website. So, for example, if you are let's just say you're a roofing contractor and you put roof on people's houses and so forth, naturally people who come into your website are looking for a roofing contractor, or else they wouldn't have clicked on your website. So what do you offer them so that you can capture their name and then be able to follow up with them? Well, one thing you can offer them, of course, is maybe the 7 pitfalls that people experience hiring the wrong roofing contractor. So you give them 7 tips that would help them to make sure they hire the right one, or maybe a free checklist of all the different things you should look for when you hire a roofing contractor. Those are just simple examples, but maybe you even combine the 2 of them together. Maybe even have a video series that you give them in terms of the things to look for, and where you're kind of explaining what to look for when you're hiring a roofing contractor, and some of the things to watch out for that people sometimes miss when you're actually hiring a roofing contractor, those kind of things. So you could easily take a lot of those components and be able to basically put them into a report or into a video series and so forth, and offer that as your lead capture piece as well. People have been asking me as well about SEO as well. We weren't going to talk too specifically about SEO today, but in terms of search engine optimization, which is what that refers to, is basically just making sure that your website has targeted keywords within it that are basically the ones that your customers would be searching for to be able to actually find your website and so forth. Naturally, when you set up your website, you want to make sure that your keywords that you're going after are well known and so forth, and you want to make sure you optimize all of that within your website and whatnot. So definitely, those components are important to making sure search engine optimization is covered and so forth. But really, for me to give you a complete understanding as to how to actually do it and so forth is definitely going to require a different webinar for me to be able to cover that specifically. I will answer just a couple more questions. In terms of social media and your website, and some people ask me, well, how does Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter fit in and so forth? All of those different social media platforms that exist out there, the one problem that with all of them is you don't own any of them. So if for whatever happens, Facebook, as a lot of people might know, Facebook has done a whole bunch of different changes recently to the way that their news feed works, and different things are happening on Facebook all the time. Easily, it is possible that Facebook could easily shut you down at any point in time in terms of, they don't like what you're using the profile for, or your Facebook page and so forth. And you have nothing you can really do. You can try to mail them and tell them why it shouldn't be shut down and whatnot, but you are under a risk of all those different things. However, your website, you actually own your website, so you never have to worry about losing your website or anything like that. You can easily keep that website no matter what. So because of that, you want your website really to be sort of the central hub that all the other different social media platforms and so forth kind of all go towards and so forth. So what I mean by that is that, for example, if you have a blog on your website and you're putting up new articles on your website and whatnot, you would, of course, tweet about them on Twitter or post them on Facebook, and put them into your messages on LinkedIn and so forth. All of them, you would want to point them back, of course, to your website where they could read the full blog post and so forth there as well. So by doing it that way, people come to your website, they come to read your post and so forth. If you've done your call to action properly, then people reading a blog post on your website would then be able to sign up for your email list to find out other posts that you would have and so forth, and future information that you'll be sending them to. Then you've basically captured that lead, that even if Facebook were to shut down or whatever to happen in the future, or start charging whatever, then you would still be able to keep that particular lead and be able to follow up with them indefinitely because you've got their email address. And I'll answer one last question, and then we're gonna move on. So the last question I'm going to answer is about music on your website. I know that a lot of websites you come to, the first thing when you come to the website is all of a sudden, boom, this music starts playing through your speakers and so forth. And you go, whoa, what happened there? You know. And again, some people try to use the music as a way of trying to set up an atmosphere that they're trying to give you. Maybe it's like a jazz club, so they want to play some jazz music in the back on their stuff, on their websites and whatnot. The issue, of course, with music that plays automatically especially is that people are not expecting it. So, for example, they may even be at work and, you know, checking out where we're going to go tonight, and they're trying to find a good jazz club to go to. Then they say, oh, I got to find more information about this one. They click on your website, and boom, this thing starts blaring jazz over your speakers, and everyone turns around, looks at what the heck's going on, and so forth. So I definitely do not recommend music playing automatically when you come to a website. That's just not a good practice, because you can surprise people because of that. But on the other side of it, I do recommend having like videos or music audio that you can click on, so if people wanted to experience and find out more about you, they could click on the video and then it would play, maybe give them a nice tour of the jazz club or talk about the bands coming up, whatever. You know, those kind of things. I do recommend that side of it, but not so much in terms of, you know, just boom, music playing when you first come to the website. Okay. So I'm going to have to cut off the rest of the questions, otherwise I'm going to run out of time for the last few bits I want to talk about. So the next part I want to talk about is now what. So naturally, you can take all the different components I talked to you about, and of course you can do it yourself. You could go in and create your own website, modify your website, and so forth. No problem. Go right ahead. You can definitely take the different ideas I've given to you, and you can do that. Naturally, if you already have a web person that you're working with, fantastic. You can go through these different components with your web guy, kind of quiz him, make sure that he's got all those different components taken care of on your website, your call to actions clear, navigation's clear, all the different components we talked about. You can go through all of that with your web guy as well. The final option, of course, is that, of course, we can help. So we've put together sort of a done-for-you package that would basically cover the majority of the things that we talked about before as well. So the package that we're talking about, basically we will help you to come up with a custom web design for your business. So naturally we'll have to understand more about your business and what you do and so forth. And we could actually come up with a custom design that fits within your particular business, matches the colors, you know, within your logo, and, you know, has a consistent theme and all those kind of things. So we'll take care of creating a custom design specifically for your business that matches all the different components we talked about previously. We'll take care, of course, of all the programming in terms of setting everything up, making sure everything works and functions as you would expect, that the contact forms work, that you'd be able to sign up to be able to receive, you know, like a report or whatever else that you're offering and so forth. We'll build everything on WordPress, and the reason behind using WordPress is that it is a very simple system that we can teach people on how to use as well. So if you wanted to be able to modify your website, be able to put up a blog post or whatever, it is actually very easy to do, and you can do it through WordPress, and we will even teach you how to do that as part of this package. So we built everything on WordPress, and the other side of it we didn't talk too much about, which was search engine optimization. WordPress is definitely the easiest and the best way of being able to do that, just because it is very straightforward to be able to put all the different keywords in, and we can optimize the site using the WordPress. We'll definitely work with you in terms of your calls to action, your primary as well as your secondary call to action, and make sure that that's prominently displayed above the fold as we talked about previously, so that that is well taken care of for your website, and that people will then know right away when they come to your website what it is that you're expecting, and be able to meet whatever the call to action is that you decide is the right one for your business. And finally, of course, we'll install the Google Analytics that I mentioned before, so you have all of your tracking in place. And from that, of course, you will then be able to see the impact of all the different pieces above, and how many people are coming to your website, and how it's changing and how it's growing as well. So I'm sure you're asking me, well, Randy, how much is all this going to cost me? So typically, for us to be able to do this for a client, and if any of my clients are on that have joined the webinar, you probably can attest to that as well, that we charge somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 to actually set up a website, a custom design website, taking care of all your programming and building it on WordPress and all the components I mentioned. That's typically what we charge for that. And I'm sure many of you are thinking that, you know, he's just going to knock down a few $100s off that. But in actuality, what we're going to do is we're going to actually waive the whole fee. So the whole design, programming, that all the work in terms of setting it up on WordPress, all the calls to action we talked about, installing the track, all those components will actually waive the fee completely for all of that. The only thing that we will ask for is a maintenance package, which I'll talk about in 1 second. So all of the all of the design and custom setup and programming will all be waived, so you actually don't have to pay for any of that portion of it. Now, I'm sure you're asking me, well, why would you possibly do that? Why would you walk away from $1,500 to $2,000, which you normally charge? Well, one of the reasons is kind of Ash told me so. So for those of you who know Ash, he's definitely a very persuasive fellow, and he persuaded me that, you know, Randy, if you're going to put this webinar together, and especially if I'm going to invite all my people to come on to the webinar and whatnot, it's got to be a huge value for them in terms of the content you provide, which I hope I've done as well, but also the other side as well is that you got to provide them with a massive package so that they will want to work with you, so that you can help them with other things as well. The second part of that as well is that I will be expecting a testimonial out of the work that we do for you as well. Naturally, if we do all those things that we talked about, the 6 pieces on your website that we kind of went through and so on, if we have all those pieces and it's helping your business, it's got a great design and so on, I would hope that you would be happy and have no problem with giving me a testimonial for doing all that work, especially since I didn't charge you up front for it. And number 3, in terms of referrals, I'm hoping that you'll provide with at least 3 referrals. Again, as you know, we're not making any money up front for any of this stuff, and I'll talk about the packages in a moment, but they're small packages that we're offering you. So really, I'm hoping that by doing such a phenomenal job for you guys who are on this webinar, that you will in turn, you know, say to me, you know, you did such a great job, Randy. Here's some other people that you might be able to help as well, and that's kind of why we're hoping to do that together. So now I'm sure you're asking me, well, what are these maintenance packages, and how much are you going to charge me? How many thousands is this going to cost me, and whatnot? So let me kind of walk through the 2 packages that we've got set up here, and then we'll wind up here. So the first package is the silver package, and as part of the silver package, I'm going to have a one-on-one session with you over the phone. I'm expecting it'll probably be about half an hour. If it goes a little bit over that, no problem. But really, out of that strategy session, I want to discuss with you in terms of how your website is going to fit within your overall business strategy and what you're trying to accomplish and so forth. And that's really where I feel, in terms of my strengths, really come in. I mean, you can hire a lot of people to build you websites. You can go to GoDaddy and build a free website there as well. However, they don't do anything in terms of the strategy component that I'm talking about, in terms of really trying to get to what is it that you're trying to accomplish within your business? What would be the most logical call to action? How can we get a huge funnel into your business so you have tons of people within it to follow up on, and thus to be able to then lead you to more leads as well as more sales in the future? So that kind of a strategy session is really where I pride myself, being more of an internet strategist rather than just an internet web guy that can build a website and put anything together for you. I really think that's the value I bring a lot of times. The second thing is, I know most people, the problem with which a lot of people have is they may spend money up front for a website, they may build one themselves, but a lot of times it gets out of date very, very quickly. They don't have time to keep it up to date. They keep meaning to put up this information. Maybe they're a restaurant and they're meaning to put up the deal of the week or whatever, and so on and so forth. They just don't have time to do it, and they just keep forgetting about it. So I want to make this as dead simple for you as well, that we will actually do website updates for you. So twice a month you can send us web updates. I want to put up this new blog post. Can you put it up for me? You just send us the content, boom, we'll put it up for you. Maybe you're changing some of the packages you have within your services. I need to modify that. Oh, I just don't have time to do it. Send them to us. We'll take care of those things for you. We'll update the website, make it as hands-off as possible for you so you can get back to the main core of your business. Naturally, we'll take care of all the hosting costs as well within our package as well. And in terms of the web hosting we use, we don't use like HostGator or any of those smaller guys and that you're sharing your server with 1,000 people and so forth. We actually have a dedicated server that we work, and we have a slice of that server that's dedicated to us and to our customers only. And this is a state-of-the-art web hosts, security cameras, all those kind of things. Your data is safe, all those kind of different components that you're worried about. They do full backups as well. We do weekly off-site backups, which means that if for whatever reason there was something that went down on the web host, we always have a copy as well that's stored off-site, so you always have a backup 1 week as well. Every day they're constantly doing backups as well, but those ones are stored on-site. So you have full backups about your website. We'll definitely take care of making sure that all the security patches, all the new updates for the tools that we've set up and so forth, those are all taken care of, and then basically your website will always be secure because of that as well. The next piece as well is that we provide full training for you as well. So over the phone, what we'll do is we actually put together sort of like a one-pager, it might be 2 pages now, that basically shows you specifically for your website, how do you log in, how do you change things. There's a video training series as well that you can watch at any point in time that you have access to, so you can figure out, how do I put a blog post that I've forgotten what Randy went over with me over the phone. We'll watch the video one more time. Oh yeah, now I remember what he said to us, and now that he's given me that one page, it's got my username, password to log in, no problem, boom. I can put up, I have an inspiration in the middle of the evening, I want to put up a post, no problem, you can do it yourself as well. So this is the silver package, which gets you started and basically covers pretty much everything we talked about within this webinar. So I'm sure you're asking, okay, Randy, how much is that going to ding me and so forth? Rather than trying to give you, a rigmarole of how much it would cost and so on and so forth, how much your time is worth for you to do all these things yourself, and how much it would be worth, I'm just going to tell you it's $99 a month. So for only $99 a month, you can basically have a custom designed website. We'll take care of all that. All the fees are waived and so forth. And you have somebody in place now to maintain and as well as continue to put updates onto your website so that you don't have to worry about that at all going forward. The second package I want to talk about is a gold package. So the gold package is very similar. It still has the strategy session, still has the backups, the state-of-the-art website. We've upped the number of updates to 4 a month, not a week, 4 a month. So basically if you had weekly specials or something like that and you needed to have them updated every single week onto your website, no problem. We could do that every week for you within the gold package. The other thing that we're adding as well is the actual email management. And what I mean by that is we're actually covering everything from signing up with an email provider. That means when you actually have people sign up for your free report or whatever it is, when you capture their email, you want to make sure that their email is put into an email provider so that way you can easily send them emails in the future. You notice the first package doesn't have anything about email in particular, but this email management, we will take care of setting it all up, putting it all there. You can have up to 2,000 subscribers onto your email list within this package, as well as you can send up to 12,000 emails within any particular month. So that's like 6 emails blast that you're sending out if you had 2,000 people on your list, and that is sufficient for most people as they're growing their list. And on top of that, because we're also providing the 4 website updates a month, we will actually allow you to send us the content, and we will send an email to your list up to 4 times a month as well. So if you actually want to be able to send out your weekly specials, not just put them on your website, you actually want to be able to send them out every week as well to the list that you're building, well, this gold package will cover you to be able to send them. All you have to do is send us an email. Here's what I want you to send out. Boom, we'll send it out. And on top of that as well, we will design a custom email template for you as well for your business based upon your website and on your logo and so forth, so that everything looks nice and consistent in terms of your website as well as your email, and people know that it all comes from you as well. So this gold package is definitely a little bit more work, but covers everything in terms of your email, your website updates multiple times, 4 times as well. So it's definitely a little bit bigger of a package. But Ash beat me down as well on this particular one, and he wanted me to do it for as low as we possibly could. So we're doing this one for only $149 a month. So again, that includes all the email setups, the email provider, taking care of setting all those things up, sending out the emails 4 times a month as well. And basically this is, as far as I can see, it's pretty much a hands-off package by using the gold package, and you having a way to communicate with your people on an ongoing basis. So those are the 2 packages that we have set up for you. And as I said already, I mean, they really are as low as I could possibly go, and I challenge anybody to find any web guide doing any of these components for you for anywhere lower than this kind of a price, including all the design and so forth. So it really is a great starter package, as well as a hands-off, done-for-you kind of a package, and you can pick which one you feel would meet your needs. So naturally, I'm sure if you're interested in that, you want to know how do I actually find out more about that and so forth. If you go to this URL we set up, FoglightSearch.com/website offer, you'll see that we have created a landing page. So again, you'll see the landing page does not look exactly like the rest of our website. It is very focused in terms of when you come to it, you are hearing about this particular website offer. So it is not a general kind of a page. But from that, you'll be able to see on the bottom the different packages. There's a little bit more explanation. If there's any questions and whatnot, you can find out more and contact us through that. But basically, right on the bottom, there's a sign up button. You click on the sign up button, and you can tell us which one of the different packages you're interested in. Tell us your phone number, how to get in contact with you, as well as give us a little bit of information about your business and your website if you already have one and so forth, and then we will contact you. There's no upfront commitment at the beginning. We will take all the risk in building the website design for you, and only when you say, you know what, I like that website design, Randy, I want to put that on my website, at that point in time, once we've got it all set up for you, then the monthly fee will kick in. So we're willing to take 100% of the risk. You don't have to take any risk at all. We'll take it all. And we want to make sure that we serve you guys very, very well that have taken the time to be on this webinar. So with that, I'm going to try Ash one more time. Ash, are you out there?
So there you have it, everybody. Randy, thank you very much. That was action-packed, full of content. And I know this is a webinar, so if we can all just give Randy a virtual round of applause and a standing ovation, whatever that looks like to you, because you know what you got. Randy, thank you so much. And, you know, it now just comes right up to you, listening to the call today that are on this webinar, whether you're listening to the recording as well. Right now, it's a decision that you must make. You've already learned what's out there and available for you on the internet. You know where people visit first before they even decide to pick up the phone and call you or send you an email or research you after you've met them at a networking event. So as Randy taught, what is your primary call to action for your website? When he's going to be designing it, he'll be asking you that. You better know that. Well, I ask you, what is the primary call to action of you and your business, your purpose behind the business itself? Well, in that website is what you need to do it, so you don't have to really articulate what you stand for every time. So when people pick up the phone, they already know what you do, how you do it, and they're ready to do business with you, at least take the next steps based on the credibility you've established. So ask yourself that question. What is your primary call to action in your business? And that can be achieved in your website where people research you first. Randy also mentioned, well, what's in it for me is what every person, prospect, client, or potential client asks on every page of your site. So when you're designing it yourself, if you choose to, or give the business to Randy as a done-for-you service, which is a no-brainer if you ask me, then ask yourself the question, what's in it for me to do it myself or to get it done with Randy so that I don't have to focus in my business and I can focus on my business? See, Michael Gerber wrote it the best when he said, if you're working in your business, you have a job and not a business. So the choice now becomes yours. Malcolm Gladwell already said the tipping point is here. The internet is here. Social media is here to stay. The big companies are getting on board. So if you decided you're not on board, or if you want to do it haphazardly, then it is just not going to work for you. So what do you want to be doing? Do you want to be in the business that you run? Do you want to be focused in what you do in life and in business so that you can be the best at it? Or do you want to kind of wade into being a web designer as well and doing a half-baked job doing it? So the choice really, really becomes yours with, you know, how you're going to do it. Landing pages, whatever it is. Analytics is what you get. Statistics. If you've never paid attention before to doing your own statistics, you've got to know this one thing. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Remember that. If you want to grow an empire and you can't manage it, then you can't grow it. So it extrapolates into how do you take your analytics that are fed to you from the expert. You may be an expert plumber, an architect, an accountant, a lawyer. You've got your own business. Maybe you're a networker and you're growing a network marketing company. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have got the ability right now, the capability to get it done for you by the experts. If you need a doctor, you're not going to go to a plumber. If you need plumbing done, well, you're not going to go to your family physician. So the same thing, waste your time if you want building a website and cutting your teeth and making mistakes on Blogger and having different domains. I ask you one question when it really comes down to it. What is the value of what Randy said? Whether it's $99 or $149, what is the value you will receive from building an email list? What is the value you'll receive if it's done for you the right way for one extra client per month coming to you? Is it worth over $149, $200, $249? Then decide for yourself whether that time is going to be wasted or going to be productive time, well spent on generating more business so that you can pay a paltry $99 or $149 to have a done-for-you service that has your mind off. If you don't know about the backup that Randy talked about, well, know this, that if your business ever went down, the opportunity cost of having your business go down with your website down is huge. It's tremendous. What is the value to you of the dual redundancy, the backup, and the additional systems and security and safety that you've got? I really ask you to judge for yourself, what is the value? And that's what it really comes down to. So take a look at everything that's been offered. Take a look at what you can do for yourself. Struggle with it for an hour or two or a day or two, and you'll still not do it like Randy and his team. Or what is the value of one additional lead coming through your email list because you've got a site that looks good, that you can be proud of, that you can give your business cards to people and say, visit me here to see what I do before you give me a call? Is that going to save your time in direct calls before they have to ask you, what do you do? And to give a free report or whatever it is, to have your articles done and marketed. And so you've got someone coming in and putting an email list. So you develop the list, which goes into an autoresponder, which drips on people automatically. And you get to send up to 12,000 emails per month unlimited. I will not understand if you don't see the value of that for your business. So it really comes down to this one very, 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 very simple question that you must ask yourself right now. Do I really want it? And it's a video, if you're on my email list, that you got today, as I sent a reminder to my email community. And it's also something I posted on my Facebook page. So either way, get that video and watch it and ask yourself the question, how badly do I want it? Do I want to stay with the business the way I am? Or do I want to grow an empire? Do I want to double my business? It all starts with a decision you will make today. And that decision is going to be based on the action you take today. That's what it comes down to. There's nothing more I can say. You have got to feel the pain of where your business is at today or the pleasure of where it's going to be tomorrow if you put the right systems in place. So I'd love to turn it back over to Randy to finish the call, but instead I'm going to turn it back over to you. You're the most important person right here. You make the decision on what happens next and whether your business is going to continue to remain where it is or whether you're going to soar like an eagle, explode your business, and take it to where it can be based on certain fundamental steps that you can take right now to take your business anywhere you want it to go, because the business is entirely gone to the web. So I wish you a great day, happy strategizing, and I hope you make the wise decision to give Randy a call, take advantage of his incredible offer. And if you ever want to question a value again, think about the fact that you got a $1,500 to $2,000 website absolutely free. You don't have to pay for that. You're just paying for the monthly hosting. So your whole first year actually becomes absolutely free because he wants testimonials, and there's a whole strategical initiative that I'm interested in where you can actually start to do and develop yourself as an affiliate to make money with us as well. Join the fold and take advantage of this offer so that your business goes to where it can be. Thanks for joining us, and have a tremendous day until next Wednesday.